International Video Projects presents Dive Bermuda. Welcome to Bermuda, one of England's oldest and most beautiful colonies. Dive and snorkel enthusiasts will never forget Bermuda's contrasting dive spots. Peaceful lagoons, or the turbulent waters of diving the Atlantic's most northern tropical reefs. Bermuda is surrounded by exotic coral heads, or dangerous shallow reefs that entirely circle the group of islands. Experts estimate that more than 700 wrecks lie within a 10-mile radius of Bermuda. Let's begin our dive adventure with an underwater music video look at the contrasting beauty of crashing waves on shallow reefs and the tranquil peace of hidden lagoons in this warm water paradise. Traveling to Bermuda by air is a real pleasure. Many U.S. airlines have regular service to the islands. Our favorite is British Air. Once you step aboard, you are treated royally. This will be your first British experience and will surely make your dive vacation a real joy. Once you begin travel in Bermuda, you'll find many taxi cabs, and believe it or not, the drivers are courteous and pleasant. Due to the fact the roads are so British and narrow, car rental is not available. You can rent a moped scooter from many places and see the islands on a self-guided tour. The accommodations on Bermuda include first-class resorts like the Elbow Beach Club, with all the amenities of a world-class hotel, including pool, private beach, tennis, and private suites overlooking the warm blue Atlantic. Elbow Beach also is home for a 4-star restaurant with the best buffet breakfast in Bermuda. Other fine hotels include the Sonesta Beach, the Reefs Resort is a small guest house nestled right into the cliff overlooking a private beach. There are many more large and small places to stay in Bermuda. Everyone has their favorite. Ask your travel agent for a recommendation. To really learn about diving in Bermuda, you should ask an expert. We found a charming, well-spoken gentleman by the name of Harry Cox. As one of the first scuba divers in Bermuda, Mr. Cox has many fascinating stories.
Diving in this island is to experience what I have described as the Acropolis of the world's diving. The reefs here are the northernmost reefs to be found in all the world. The size of my home, Bermuda, and where I live, is just 20 square miles. But right off our coasts, we have 234 square miles of some of the most beautiful underwater scenery in the world. The wonderful thing about diving in Bermuda is that we are 32 degrees north, and that is the height of safety. It was customary for the ships coming out of the newly opened New World, which began with Columbus's great voyage in 1492, and from 1492 right up to this present moment, every nation that had business in the sea, their ships are in our reefs. And the great reef web, which is all about the island in an unbroken chain, has captured literally hundreds of ships, and they have their place in the history of the world in all of the 4 centuries of our recorded history. So I began this quest in the sea because 3 of my family's ships are lost in Bermuda's reefs. I go out twice a week. It's a wonderful escape from the world of golf, the world of sailing, the world of cricket, of football, and of tennis. All of these things happen here. But underwater, I am transported back through the centuries in an instant of time. It is a deeply rewarding experience. The discovery of a ship lives forever in the lifetime of the man who finds her. It was a stormy day, and we were in a particularly dramatic part of Bermuda's reefs. The coral growth is profuse. It's a world of gorgonias, sea fans, sea ferns, and the fish are in great multitudes all about us. So we went to this breaker on that day, and all the other men went into the sea, and I remained on board. And within half an hour, one of the divers came up. He was an Englishman, and he said, "A jug, a jug. I've found a jug." And I plunged into the sea and came to his place on the bottom in the shadow of this great coral tower that reared itself up 20 or 30 feet from the bottom. And there he was, pointing excitedly down deep into the coral. And there was this incredible, astonishing thing to my eye. Just look at it. It's a round, perfectly formed rim of a magnificent porcelain jug. Well, it was 6 feet down in the rocks. She was lost sometime in the opening years of the 1700s. And we have searched our archives. We have searched our books of protest. We have searched all the known records which could tell us anything of this ship that carried this jug. We found no trace of her loss. Thus, the diver, coming in the hush of an exquisitely beautiful place, may still hear the sound of lonely anguish as those who sailed their ship left her forever in the sea. To dive is to know a whole new world.
Another native Bermudian we met on our video dive trip was Alan Markwood, a dive master and underwater videographer.
Welcome aboard the dive boat Calypso. This is Nancy here and Ian. My name is Alan, and basically we're the members of the crew today. If you need any help or assistance, feel free to ask for it. Remember, you guys are the ones on vacation today and we're the ones at work, all right? So let us do the job for you. Today's dive site's going to be the Southwest Breaker. Southwest Breaker is a real nice place to go to. Unfortunately, today we can't have any of the coral, living, dead, soft or hard, so leave the coral alone, especially if you don't know what you're touching, because in some of it is fire coral and will have a tendency to burn you, all right? So don't be shoving pieces of coral up your wetsuit, because you might be in for a nasty surprise. Any of the shells that you find, you can't have them either, okay, living or dead. So actually, the only thing that's coming out of the water today will be us as the divers, all right?
While Alan takes out many parties every week, he's among only 3 dive operators on Bermuda. Visitors should ask their travel agents for recommendations. Reservations are the best way to be sure you don't get left behind. Alan has videotaped many of the most visited wrecks around Bermuda. Let's take a look at some of them. The Hermes is a 165-foot freighter that was deliberately sunk by the Bermuda Dive Association on May 16, 1985. She sits in 76 feet of water and is one of the most intact wrecks off Bermuda. One of the most exciting things that can happen to a diver is to come upon a group of migrating whales. These were heading south for the winter. The wreck of the Tugboat King is an intact 60-foot salvage tug. She sits in 70 feet of water and is one of 2 wrecks on the South Shore. On January 1st, 1873, the English steamer Minnie Bressler, with a full cargo of lead and cork, ran aground not far from the Southwest Breaker. Her bow sits in 45 feet of water, and her stern is down 70 feet. The Aristo was a Norwegian steamer that had a negligent master, Captain Stevenson. He led her to her death in 45 to 60 feet of water on March 15, 1937. A board of inquiry decided that Stevenson had used poor judgment and pulled his captain's license. Cotton was the cargo aboard the North Carolina. On January 1st, 1880, she ran aground about 5 miles west of Bermuda. The North Carolina sits in 45 feet of water. One of the most unsettling things on this wreck are the rigging hooks that look like faces of the lost crew. This is the Frenchman's Wreck, found by Mr. Teddy Tucker around 1985. The cargo was lignin vitae, or ironwood from South America. This is only one of the many wrecks Teddy Tucker has found in his many years as a treasure hunter.
Bermuda is the most northern latitude that has coral that's actually living and performing, and colonies of tropical fish, although it is well out of the tropics. And the Bermuda's on the southern edge of was once quite a large island. And the reefs have all grown up over the years, patch reef, and then it joins up to make a bar or a flat or a ledge. And they grow to tide level, extremely low tide level to wash, and then they can't come any higher, so they spread. And through the eons of time, the place has been almost practically all protected by a barrier reef of living coral on top of dead and fossilized coral, with a few natural entrances which completely protects Bermuda. If it wasn't for the coral reef, that's what we're standing on now, would have long gone, washed away. And you listen to all the old boatmen and all the old fishermen, and later on you read about it a little bit. And I always liked fishing. I always liked the ocean. And in the late 30s, as soon as I got big enough, I had a job at the government aquarium, and they had a diving helmet, and had two young kids, youngsters. And for a visitor for $1, could go down, they'd put the helmet on them, they'd go down a flight of steps and an old ladder into Harrington Sound, right near where the aquarium is now. And I was one of the little fellows that worked the pump. And another little fellow put the pump on, and if you got somebody that was interested and they stayed too long, you'd slowly ease back on the pump. And of course, as you cut back on the pump, so the water level would rise, and that's how you'd get them up, because it was open underneath. And that was probably the first tourist diving operation in the world. Or the first, I've never heard of any place that have had an earlier operation where a visitor could come to somebody's country and pay $1 and go look at the fish. Well, I found several fairly interesting ones. The one that made all the, I suppose I got the most results out of the one we found in 1951, my brother-in-law and I. And then we didn't get around to digging it up until 1955. And we got a bunch of gold bars, gold ingots, coins, earrings, jewels, and the famous gold and emerald cross that was later on stolen from the museum here. And that was the one that really got the enthusiasm up and started it all. And then later on we found another Spanish wreck up on the west end, which was about 10 miles from the original one. And since that we still find them. It's a very simple place. It's for diving. It's probably the best location you can get, because everything is close. And from right here where the boat is, in an hour and a half, I can be anywhere. Nothing's further away than an hour and a half. And you don't have to worry about a great big project of going to sea for days or weeks. And you can crank up and have a good day's diving and get back in time to have a shower and have something to eat before you're completely scorched.
During the American Civil War, many blockade runners sailed for Bermuda, a safe harbor. The Nola didn't make it. Sometime in the 1800s, she ran into trouble. This Confederate paddle wheeler sits in 30 feet of water and is the most dive site in Bermuda. The last wooden four-masted schooner to leave New York Harbor never made it to her destination. Instead, the Constellation and her cargo of china, medical supplies, and bags of cement met the bottom off the western Blue Cut reefs. Divers now refer to the cement bags as petrified pillows. The Pollock Shield, a German freighter captured by the British in World War I, was pressed into service during the Second World War as a munitions carrier. She ran aground just south of Elbow Beach. The Pollock Shield sits in 15 to 20 feet of water. The best part of diving this wreck is swimming through the huge boilers.
Us, the diver, coming in the hush of an exquisitely beautiful place, may still hear the sound of lonely anguish as those who sailed their ship left her forever in the sea. To dive is to know a whole new world.